Bella Valadas as a full-time dispatcher at the hourly rate of $24.72. Consideration and possible action on appointing Nicholas Stagias as a full-time police officer at a rate of $39.16. Consideration and possible action on the select board signing a change of manager application for Ocean State Job Lot from Christine Boland to Richard Mott. Consideration and possible action on an application for a special one-day liquor license for Oakham Brewing Company for the location of Pickleball U at 178 Main Street. Consideration and possible action on the issuance of a one-day liquor license to Deep Roots Distillery for the Sturbridge Town Common, second annual Friends of the Poor Walk. Consideration and possible action on the town of Sturbridge joining the Central Massachusetts Regional Emergency Communications Center. Consideration and possible action on the signaling, on the signing of an agreement with Leeds Group of Shrewsbury for the delivery of treated road salt at the rate of $79.47 per ton from August 5th, 2025 until June 30th, 2026. Consideration and possible action on the appointment of Francis O'Connell to Slack Cedar Lake. Consideration and reappointment on Sarah Terwillinger to the Personal Classification and Policy Committee. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Marita Tassi to Slack South Pond. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Heather Egan to Slack Walk the Pond. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Kadian Phillips to the Cable Advisory Committee. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Stephen Pismato to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire September 17th, 2028. Consideration and possible action on the acceptance of the resignation of Edward Cornerly from the Cultural Council effective September 6, 2025. Consideration and possible action on the resignation of Carrie Carey from the Special Events Committee. Consideration and possible action on accepting the resignation of Bruce Grand from the Slack Big Alum. Consideration and possible action on the resignation of Jose Andrade from the Cable Advisory Committee. Consideration and possible action on accepting the resignation of Officer Daniel Hemingway. Then we will move to old business, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, and then adjourn. And with that, would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I just would like to take a moment of silence tonight. You know, the news moves really fast, and you know, things go by, and we sometimes, I don't think, really absorb them. But what happened in that church in Minnesota is just about as heinous as you can imagine. And I would just note that, you know, for my mother-in-law, her parents were married in that church, and that there's just no place for this type of violence in our society, and we all have to work together to get rid of it, because children just shouldn't die in school, in churches, really anywhere. So with that, please take a moment of silence. Thank you. Public service announcements. Mary Lou.
I have nothing.
Mr. Chase.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mary Dowling. No.
No.
I got nothing. All right, so we are a few minutes before the National Grid hearing, so Robin, why don't you kick us off?
Just a couple of things. First of all, our conservation agent asked me to mention that our rain barrel program has officially been kicked off. So you can go buy a rain barrel. I think they're about $80, $75 or $80, and they'll go over how to use them, and it's kind of a great option for conserving water for things like gardening, washing cars, instead of wasting good water from our water supply. This is kind of a neat way to look for an alternative, so that's from our conservation department. They also will be running a pumpkin walk. I believe it's October 19th or 18th. I'll get you more information as we get closer to that on the trails. So a little bit of happy news from conservation. And Keep Sturbridge Beautiful, we had mentioned it last week. I put a little memo in your packet this week. So I met with the woman from Megan from Yankee Spirits, who had come in and brought it up, and And then she hooked me up and we sat and then we had a three-way meeting with the head of Keep Massachusetts Beautiful, the state leader on this. We had a couple of different options. We can either have somebody create a nonprofit like the Friends of, that's a little complicated. We could create another town committee, which can also be a little challenging. We have a lot of town committees. But the third option, which is what I would recommend or ask for the board's support for, is that we get a group of volunteers and it would be under the Keep Massachusetts Beautiful umbrella. He would handle the fiscal responsibility for donations and anything that came in. It would fall under their tax classification as opposed to us having to worry about a nonprofit or town money, because when we get town money in, it has to go to the general fund unless we set up a stabilization fund. So it's a little less bureaucratic for us, but probably easier and faster to get implemented. So what I would ask is support of the board to consider me putting out a call for volunteers who want to be part of that. Combine that with the fact that I did meet again with the state Adopt-A-Spot gentleman for the 3 islands to get the final confirmation. We do not have to put the signs up. I think we're going to have them made if we want them, but we do not have to put the adopted signs up. And he did give me multiple vests, the appropriate signage to put up when people are working on it, the trash pickers. So I think we might be able to combine all of this to keep Sturbridge beautiful with people who are also willing to, when we do put the mounds with the mulch, if there were weeds and things that need to be maintained on the islands, the Adopt-A-Spots, maybe we could kind of combine all of this together with the same group of volunteers. So what I'd like to do is have the support of the board to just pull a group of volunteers together and put them under that Keep Massachusetts Beautiful umbrella as a Sturbridge chapter.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Oh, I was just gonna make a motion.
Oh, yeah, I was going to see if anybody had anything to say. Same way.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the town supports the establishment of a volunteer group with fiduciary responsibility governed by the Keep Massachusetts Beautiful.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, ayes have it.
And then the other thing I just want to update, it looks like November 17th for a special town meeting. I've asked my departments to give me anything that they may have that they want to put on there. We will advertise it with ample time so that if there's anything on there that is of a major public interest, I usually try not to do that on specials if we don't have to because people are not expecting it. But if there is something critical, I'll ensure that we get as much public information out there as we can. Right now, I'm hopeful I can get Street or Beach Access Road. I have to go through CPC, obviously, and get some funding. I've applied for a grant. I haven't heard back on that yet and probably won't. But I would still like to look to apply for the funding. We are still waiting to hear back on the grant for the Trails Bridge. We have a couple of cleanup languages, kennel licenses for multiple dog ownership required by state, some state law that we need to comply with. So some of it's cleanup and some of it's move forward stuff, but November 17th is the date we're looking at right now. Moderator is on board, and we're pretty much ready to roll with that.
And did you just say November? I thought it was October.
November 17th.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because it had been October, right?
We were talking October, but just to get enough time to get in front of CPC, FinCom, and advertise it enough to give the public fair time to engage and ask questions.
Robin, is there any way to turn this down?
The air.
Yeah, I think, you know what, if you hit that down arrow, it might, or up arrow, actually,
Up arrow,
yeah.
down arrow will definitely make it colder and
Yeah.
turn it way up.
I mean, it's just
It might take a
been,
second for it to click off, but
it's just been blowing.
That's probably just me. But the,
No, that would be hot air.
all right. Well, we got a couple more minutes unless you had anything else.
no,
Okay.
I'm good, that's it.
So I'm just going to go to the resignations quickly and just clean these up. I'm going to make on action item N. I'm going to make a motion to accept the resignation of Edward Cornerly from the Cultural Council effective September 6, 2025 with our thanks.
Okay, second.
All those in favor? Great, thank you. And then I'm going to move on to consideration and strike that. I'm going to move to accept the resignation of Carrie Carey from the Special Events Committee with our thanks for their work.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I just want to give a shout out to her because she was part of the committee at the inception and she did a tremendous amount of work. And so, thank you. She's just gotten too busy now with a little one. But anyways, sorry.
No, this isn't. All right, moving on to P, consideration, strike that. I'm gonna move to accept the resignation of Bruce Grand from the Sturbridge Lakes Association, Big Alum, with our thanks for their work.
Second.
All right, great. All those in favor? The ayes have it. Then I'm going to move on to consideration and possible, strike that, to accept the resignation of Jose Andrade from the Cable Advisory Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great, the ayes have it. Then I will move to accept the resignation of Officer Daniel Hemingway, effective August 25th, 2025, with our thanks. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right.
On the committees, I want to thank Frances. She's been working hard to clean up a lot of these, going through, see what's vacant, see what's not. We had a lot of names listed that hadn't been active. A lot of people who were active had not been reappointed officially, so we're trying to get a handle on that. Frances has been working diligently on trying to clean all that up. So that's why you'll see there's some bunches of reappointments in groups. You're going to see clusters of these the next few weeks.
Okay, no, thank you, Francis, for your hard work. We are about a minute and a half from the National Grid meeting, so it's a little
You
awkward.
want to do reappointments? We have a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah.
reappointments.
Stacy, you know any jokes?
Good ones.
Not for the public.
I will move to M, yeah.
Yeah.
I will move to action item N, to appoint Stephen Posamato to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire September 17th, 2028. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, to L, I'm gonna move to reappoint Katie and Phillips to the Cable Advisory Committee for a term to expire September 6th, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor? Great. I'm gonna move to appoint Heather Egan to Slack Walker Pond for a term to expire June 16th, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor? I'm going to move to reappoint Marita Tassi to the Slack South Pond for a term to expire July 17th, 2028. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? I'm going to move for the reappointment of Sarah Terwillinger to the Personnel Classification and Policy Committee for a term to expire July 4th, 2028. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. And then I'm going to move to appoint Francis O'Connell to the Sturbridge Lake Association, Cedar Lake, for a term to expire November 18th, 2027. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. Okay.
Just about
And we are 10 seconds out, so that'll do. Great. Select person Dowling, if you would.
It's like watching a ball drop for
And you're
for New
live.
Year's.
a rocket taken off.
If you could please read the.
National Grid has made a petition to the Sturbridge Select Board to install underground facilities beginning at a point approximately 180 feet southeast of the center line of the intersection of Brookfield Road and Trail Road and continuing approximately 600 feet in a southeast direction. National Grid is to replace a 600-foot of underground primary, install 2 new manholes on either side of the turnpike near posts 52/50 and 49 in Sturbridge. The poll hearing will take place on Tuesday, September 2, 2025, 6:45 at the Sturbridge Town Hall, second floor, Veterans Memorial Hall in Sturbridge.
All right, great. Where's National Grid? Come on down. Took me a minute to find you with the hat. Could we probably take it off because we're
Yeah.
good rule followers here, you know? Sorry, what's going on?
So, my name's Robert Williams. I work with National Grid. We have a project to install conduit underneath the turnpike, like you said, put 2 manholes in, and then install new primary underground cable for the feeder, which is gonna upgrade the cable size there, which will allow higher capacity for that feeder, which is the pusher for this project.
Great. All right, so we had some comments from our DPW director. I'm just gonna review them with you for a minute. They just asked that you call the water and sewer department at least 3 days before the proposed work to mark out the water, so the water and sewer locations, does that work?
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue, 'cause we're gonna dig safe the site anyways, so part of dig safing that, as I understand it, would be to get that marked out from the town, so.
Yeah, well, just, I think it'd probably be the 3 days, it would probably be the part that,
Okay,
yeah, so
before,
just if you could just try to give them 3 days' notice, we'd very much appreciate it.
okay.
Then she stated that you already noted that you're staying 3 feet away from the water line, that her preference was 5 feet, but that if you're using the same conduit, then she wouldn't have any issues on that. Do you know if you're using the same conduit?
They should be putting in new, I don't know how they're digging. I had tried to request a meeting with the DPW and the civil group that would be doing the trenching, but, nobody returned my email, so. But we would be putting in new conduit. I don't know if, it's typical that they would take out, if they're gonna dig over what was already there. But we should be able to maintain, because it's on the other side of the road as the water and the sewer, and going off the plans that the DPW provided of their install of that
Okay.
water and sewer, there should be enough space.
She asked that we placed her a requirement to stay 10 feet from the sewer. Is that an issue?
Yeah, well, it's on the other side of the road, so we should be fine there too,
Okay.
as long as it's in the marked area that it
Yeah,
was.
so that I'm understanding it correctly, is that the 3-foot the request for a 3-foot distance and the, or strike that, the request for a 5-foot distance and the requirement to stay away from 10 feet from sewer should just be inherently in place because you're on the opposite side of the street as you understand it?
Yeah, based off measuring the road, it should be well away from
Okay.
both of those.
And then, all conduits shall have a warning tap placed during installation, is that standard?
I'll make a note about it. I know we do that for direct buried cable. I was told that it is, we do that, we put warning tape above it. I'm not sure what the measurement is, but I believe that's a normal process for us.
Okay, so you guys can do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
All right. So she said an as-built plan, I don't know what that is. It just what's an as-built plan? do you know?
As built after.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, showing proximity, approximately, excuse me, to the water and sewer line should be provided afterwards. So just give them the documents on the other side. Is that fine? I'm assuming we would do that anyways, right?
I think we'd be able to provide some documentation of our maps, but I don't know if it's standard process that we would show. We might have to do a separate drawing. I don't know if that's something we would necessarily do.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's, so we're getting, the issue is, and I know it's not your fault, is that like, most of this seems pretty rational and reasonable to me. It doesn't seem like there's,
Yeah.
you know, it's within how these things occur. And it's just that, and it's not, again, I'm not trying to kill a messenger here, but the answers are a little squishy, where it's like, think you can, maybe can, would can, and I get that and I understand how the system works, but.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to have a meeting out there with our civil supervisor and the DPW. Nobody responded, you know. Normally, that's how you would handle these kind of things, to go over the project and, you know, discuss exactly what's going on.
Okay.
that's unusual that you wouldn't
You
have
know,
gotten a response, so I'll follow up with
digging
Pam
in
if
a-
she was on
Yeah,
vacation.
she's-
She
when you're
was away a week and a half
Digging in a
ago.
road, you know, everything looks like it's on the plan, it shows where it is. You don't know if how accurate the plan, it's always approximate, so, and you don't know when you dig what else might be buried there that nobody knows about, so.
Again, I'm not.
We're trying to do the best we can to provide what you guys want. That's why I'm saying we should be able to get it.
Okay. All right, so the last point was, A road opening permit shall be applied for at the DPW, including a bond. National Grid will be required to replace any disturbed asphalt to the DPW standards. Is that, again, I understand the point about having a meeting, but
I don't know. I think that'll be fine. I mean, like I said, we'll have a civil contractor there. I don't know what they're looking for us to do, but if they want us to rebuild and repave, we would do that.
okay. So well, those were the items on here. The board, yeah, Chase, go ahead.
Can I ask a question to our town administrator? When he goes for the DPW permit for the street opening, wouldn't Heather and him review these questions? It's not really something that we do right here in this
Yeah,
meeting.
very likely, and if you look, this email goes back to January 31st of 2025.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this was something she wanted early on to have a discussion on, and it, in the more recent time, probably got lost in the shuffle if she was away when the email came in now, this
Yeah.
many months later. So, yeah, I mean, before you get the permit, she's gonna say we need these things anyway.
Yeah.
So,
So I think that would, the road opening permit stuff, would that be wouldn't go to the water line stuff though necessarily though, right? Like where the placement stuff is a little bit more, that's more the front end, where these other points are more the back end. Is that fair?
So when he gets a road opening permit from our DPW, he's gonna have to provide a dig safe number, which will have all that marked out on it, and then she'll release the permit to him.
Good. All right, so that makes me feel better. Thanks, Chase. Any other questions from the board? Comments, thoughts? All right, it is a public hearing. If anybody from the public has any thoughts, concerns, or the like. All right, seeing none.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing?
All right, do we have a second? All right, all those in favor? Great. And then, all right, do we have a motion on the merits of the permitting?
Okay. I'll make a motion that the town approve the petition of National Grid to install underground facilities beginning at a point approximately 180 feet southeast of the center line of the intersection of Brookfield Road and the Trail Road, and continuing approximately 600 feet in the southeast direction. National Grid is to replace 600 feet of underground primary, install 2 manholes on either side of the turnpike near poles 52, 54, and 49.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. All right, nice. Thanks for coming in, Richard. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Moving on. We're going to action item A, which is consideration of possible action on the appointment of Isabella Valadas as a full-time dispatcher at the hourly rate of $24.72, effective September 6, 2025. How you doing? Hi, Chief.
We recently had interviews for a vacant full-time dispatch position. Isabella came in front of us. She comes to us from Westfield State University, where she serves as an undergraduate admissions counselor. Prior to that, she worked for Assumption University in the same capacity. Both of these jobs involve customer service, good communication, and many other important responsibilities that can compare to the skills needed for a dispatch center. Having skills like this will certainly help Ms. Valadez in her new role as an emergency dispatcher. A thorough background check has been completed. She would be able to begin her regular shift assignment on the recommended effective date of her appointment. I've included her resume and cover letter for your review. I recommend appointing Isabel Valadez to a full-time dispatch position effective September 6, 2025, with the hourly rate of $24.72 an hour.
Great. Questions, thoughts, concerns from the board? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Isabella, how do you pronounce her last name?
Valadas.
Valadas.
Yes.
As a full-time dispatcher at the hourly rate of $24.72, effective September 6, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Great. Welcome aboard.
Appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I look forward to it. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, I look forward to it.
Congratulations and
Thank
good
you so
luck.
much, I appreciate it.
All right, great. All right, moving on. We're going to consideration and possible action on the appointment of Nicholas Stagios as a full-time, as a full-time police officer at a rate of $39.16 per hour with benefits of a 3-year officer excluding longevity, effective September 15th, 2025. Chief?
Good evening. Again, I'm pleased to recommend Nicholas Stages for the appointment of full-time police officer for the Sturbridge Police Department. Mr. Stages is resident of Sturbridge and brings 3 years of valuable law enforcement experience from the Windsor, Connecticut Police Department. He is a graduate of Tantascwa High School and holds a Bachelor's of Art in Criminal Justice from Anna Maria. In recognition of his experience, professionalism, and dedication to public safety, I recommend that Mr. Stages be appointed effective September 15th, 2025 at the rate of $39.16 per hour with the benefit afforded to the 3-year officer, excluding longevity. His cover letter and resume was attached for your review. In addition, I recommend this appointment be contingent upon Mr. Stages meeting all the requirements necessary to obtain Massachusetts post-certification as a police officer.
Great. All right, questions, thoughts from the board? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Nicholas Stages as a full-time police officer at a rate of $39.16 per hour with benefits of 3-year officer excluding longevity effective September 15th, 2025.
Second.
All right, 3 seconds. All right, great. All those in favor? Excellent.
Welcome officially.
Welcome aboard, buddy. Be safe. Great. All right, great. Moving on to action item C, which is consideration and possible action by the boards signing a change of manager application for Ocean State Job Lot from Christine Boland to Richard Mott. How's it going, guys?
Good evening. So, this is a pretty standard change of manager. I know there was some confusion because we had submitted a previous one that we withdrew for Christine Boland. Our long-term manager, Maiko Cambio, who held the license for quite a while, was transferred to our Webster, Massachusetts store when that opened. Christine, who was the area team leader at that time, we submitted her application so that we were in compliance with liquor laws while we were trying to find a replacement for Michael. Richard was promoted and transferred from our Leominster store, and that's why we submitted the new application for the change of manager. Mr. Mott worked in has managed our Leominster for quite a while, and that store also sells beer and wine. So he has extensive experience with the licensing, with tips training, and with managing the liquor licensing issue. So that's what we're requesting tonight. And I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself. I'm Tracy Barron, General Counsel for Ocean State Job Lot. My apologies.
Yeah, well, you predicted my question, but I think we saw where it was going. Okay, questions, concerns from the board?
No?
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to sign the change of manager application for Ocean State Job Lot from Christine Boland to Richard Mott.
Second.
Great, all those in favor? All right, thank you guys for coming, and we appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Good luck.
Moving on, consideration and possible action on an application for a special one-day liquor license for Oakham Brewing Company for the location at Pickleball U at 178 Main Street, Sturbridge, Mass. for September 19th, 2025, from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. All right, I think we're pretty familiar with this. Any questions, concerns on the board?
A lot of partying going on at Pickleball U.
They're turning into a rowdy group. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we're in the wrong business.
We sponsor one of their courts, so they ask us frequently to do events for them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
No, it's, we're just being facetious. Don't worry about it. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for a special one-day liquor license for Ocam Brewing Company for the location at Pickleball U at 178 Main Street.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Play ball.
On to our friends at Deep Roots Distillery. Consideration and possible action on the issuance of a one-day liquor license to Deep Roots Distillery for their Sturbridge Town Commons Second Annual Friends of the Poor Walk on September 13th, 2025, from noon to 6 p.m. So what's the event? That sounds, yeah, that's not familiar with.
It's for Friends of the Poor. So part of the proceeds for what we're going to raise is going to go towards that charity. So we're going to do the same thing we do for the Harvest Fest, just small cocktails that people can buy.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's, I don't think there's any issues that I'm aware of. Anybody have any concerns? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue a one-day liquor license to Deep Roots Distillery for the Sturbridge Town Commons Second Annual Friends of the Poor Walk on September 13th, 2025, from noon to 6 p.m.
Second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor? And one abstention. Great, thank you for coming in. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, so now we're back to the Central Massachusetts Regional Emergency Communication Center. Robin provided us a variety of documents since our last meeting, and yeah, so we kind of have to figure out where we're going forward from here, and what is the...
You have the cost analysis that you had asked for. Some questions came in today from Mary Lou that we got responses for, that you have a hard copy of in front of you now. And the question on what if we wanted to leave, we forwarded you that response as well in your packet, I believe that is. I believe two dispatchers are here who wanted to speak to this or address this, if the board is
Yeah, sure.
open to listening.
Just come up and identify yourselves for the record. Just let us know who you are first.
Barbara Boito, lead dispatch for Sturbridge Police Department there. And I'm just going to give a little bit of the background of what we've been dealing with for many years. Our main radio console, as everybody knows, hasn't been replaced in over 20 years. The system is used to tone out our ambulances, our fire personnel. It also does mutual aid from other towns. That it's just on this one system. We also use it to hear the buses, respond to them, to the highway, water, and again, mutual aid for surrounding communities. This system has been patched many times from our main console. Right now it's on a scanner type radio that's been patched for our main police side. If there's any radio repairs that have to be done for this, it's obsolete and they can't come up with any other, anything for the maintenance for it. And that was right from Goosetown that we use. They stated that, a little bit of the background is there was a kickoff meeting back in November 29th of 2021 for a replacement, and I was included on that one particular business, and nothing was ever said after that. So I don't know if they had other meetings after that to replace the system. One of our microwave towers has not been working since May of 2019 because of the cost of a microwave tower itself. Our radios are imperative to communicate with our police and fire personnel. As due to this one tower being down, it leaves a lot of poor quality of either hearing them or not hearing them in sections of town throughout. As years pass and we continue to use this system, it's outdated and it's going to just keep continuing to reduce in transmissions. And this is a concern for fire and police personnel that's out there. There's been mention of people saying, well, how come you need two dispatchers? on a shift, why can't you go back to the old one dispatcher? Currently, we have them on for days and eves with one on the mid-shift, but this also fluctuates with vacations, holidays, sick time. This agency call volume has increased, and it can increase in a moment's notice. With each ambulance call, it's mandated by the state to provide emergency medical dispatch instructions until an officer or EMT arrives at that location. There's only a few exceptions with that, as if we get multiple calls and it's contingent on takes more precedence. The caller is if the caller is not the patient, if the caller is calling from a fourth party, which meaning they're not on scene with the patient, so we can go to the next call. I've done several times, had to toggle back and forth between calls for emergency calls for this. If there's one dispatcher, the dispatcher has to then answer them calls, do the EMD, tone out for a fire, tone out for whatever resources needed out there. And then they also have to maintain the call for the log, and safety is a concern for all aspects of the call, not just for the citizens, but also, again, for the responders that are out there. Every 911 call has to be answered, and I know before you ask, there is calls that do roll over, and Southbridge answers them, and we also answer their rollover calls when they have multiple. I'll give you an example. If Tanya and I were on the other day, we had an accident call. We received over 12 911 calls. And they all have to be answered. Southbridge wound up answering a couple, so then they're calling us on the radio, and one of them calls could have been another accident somewhere else, or it could have been another ambulance, so it's imperative that they get called. On a second note of that, structure fires is another whole entity to throw in there, because if you get a structure fire at the same time, you're calling mutual aid, depending on how bad the structure fire is. So we may be a small town, however, we do have a call volume, and before I turn it over to Tanya here, we do want to note that the state 911 only perceives what they get on their system for 911 calls. They don't perceive, we get a lot of calls from local citizens that don't want to do that 911, or a lot of businesses that call up for an emergency services.
Well, thank you. All right.
Tanya Maloney, been Sturbridge PD for a long, long time. About 27 years now total I've been dispatching. Barbara's got me beat by, I think she's at 35, pushing 35 years.
She started at 5.
She did. She started when it was across the street, I believe.
No, I started here.
Oh, when the
But it was
building
with
was
hammer and
brand new.
chisel.
I have a little bit more than Barbara. I have my finger more on the pulse of the other dispatchers. I think Mary Lou. I am very blunt. I am black and white, and I will tell you how it is. There were some problems, not problems, but some items that were brought up from your last meeting on the 18th. I could not attend. I was out of town caring for my mother. Part of your PowerPoint, and I know you didn't mean this, but for the layperson, this is how it's perceived. We will have specialized fire police dispatchers who will be trained primarily in those areas and can work appropriately. I'm sure you didn't mean it like that, but to the layperson, this implies that we are not trained appropriately and that we're not qualified.
I apologize for that perception.
I actually spoke with the chief. Chief said, I'm sure she didn't. I said, I know she didn't, but I've got
yes.
5 people below me thinking, what?
Yeah, no.
And I said, no, I've had conversations
Specialized or
with her.
isolated in an
But
area.
I can
yes.
talk to the dispatchers, but I can't talk to the other residents of town. We do not believe the general population understands exactly what we do. The days of just answering the phone, where's your emergency, and okay, and hanging up, sending the police, fire, or EMS, are long gone. Now we pick up the phone, we ask where you are, we're gonna give you pre-arrival instructions. We are mandated by the state to stay on the phone with you. I'm by myself. I'm gonna give CPR instructions, I gotta send fire, I gotta send EMS, I gotta send the PD. And without a doubt, somebody's gonna ask me, what's the address again? And without a doubt, somebody's gonna ask me, well, what's the name?
And without a doubt, somebody's going to walk into the lobby looking for their LTC, and I'm still on 911. And I'm still trying to give CPR instructions to a loved one, to a parent. This is very difficult for a single dispatcher. I've done it. Barbara's done it. It's so much easier. Her and I fight like an old married couple sometimes, but it is a lot easier when the two of us are working together, because she can be committed to that 911 call, or I can, and then the other person can be dispatching all these other people and dealing with the customers or the residents that are coming in. All the dispatchers are required to complete 40 hours of APCO. Before you can even go or look at working on the desk, you get 2 days of 911 equipment training on our PSAP, primary answering point. Then you have to maintain 16 hours annually on law enforcement dispatch, fire service dispatch, EMD. You have to have your CPR and your first responder every year, a mental health crisis class every year, mass shooting incidences, MEMA and FEMA online courses, communications training officers, CJIS Next test in order to maintain, or in order to gain access to the criminal database, which is nationwide. You have to take a test every year. We maintain that. We take up TTY callers, people who can't speak, for the deaf. They're sending us messages. Our 911 board now, we get text 911. Pretty soon we're going to have video. I mean, the technology is leaps. I mean, every day we're getting something new. I disconnected with a gentleman not a week ago, and his battery was dying, and I would call him and it would disconnect. I would call him and it would disconnect. So I'm able to now pull up through TTY and send him an instant message, like a text message on my phone. But now that takes time away from me. Now Barbara's left to work all by herself. Now what if I was by myself? Because now I'm trying to figure out what this gentleman's emergency is, because now I have to send text messages. But now my phone's ringing, or another 911 call comes in, or somebody's walking in the lobby. But luckily I had Barbara with me, and I was able to send text messages, and his response was, call me. I'm trying. And then I was able to tell where he was. So the technology and us being committed is really come a long way. We take active shooter and assailant classes annually, because we want to stay on top of that. We hear it in the news all the time. Well, what did the dispatcher do? We are the first responder. We take that call. People don't call us to invite us over for tea. They call us because they have found something, or they're doing something, and something horrible has happened. I was talking to the lieutenant and the deputy chief and the chief before, and they said, are you going to stay? And I said, I don't know. I can't take any more tragedies. I can't. I got too many voices in my head. But luckily, I have Barbara. I have somebody that today, do you go take a walk? I can go take a walk because I have a second person. It's imperative we have 2 on, a minimum, just in Sturbridge, all the time. Because it's painful. It hurts to work. And if you're by yourself, you're stuck in a room. You worked it, you're stuck there. And then you disconnect. And now you're just sitting there. And you're waiting for the next tragedy to come in. We won't even discuss asking to have to go to the bathroom, because you can't leave the desk, because what if the phone rings? Now I got to have somebody come in off the road. Can you watch the desk so I can go to the bathroom? Can you bring me something to eat? Can you bring me a coffee? Kind of thing. We're kind of really just chained. We're strapped there when we work alone. That's why it's important to have that second person. Another point that came up was and this is quoted, all of our current dispatchers who wish to apply for employment at the regional center will be considered, these are awesome, who wish to apply and will be considered and given priority for a position. The fire chief brought up saying that the sooner we sign on, the sooner that we will maintain. I will call it Rutland Regional, because that's what I've called it for, since their inception, for 20 years. So I'm not used to this central mass yet. So Rutland Regional's already put out to hire. Come join our team, come join our team. So now they're going to hire new people. Sturbridge is going to come in. We're going to be down here below people.
Well, I just want to stop you right there. That's not. This is not a one-sided engagement. All of these technical points that they're talking about, it's a more effective budgetary issue, right? Like, it's not as much money as if making the capital improvements to all these items as much, but frankly, I'm not going to support this if they don't hire all of our dispatchers, because I don't, like, unless there's some issue that I'm not aware of, I don't understand why we would.
I do remember that from the
Yeah,
18th, you did say that.
But it is a
We
point of
appreciate that, yes.
expectation, so I don't want to get, what I think is really helpful to us, because, for at least for me, is if there's the most of the conversation is sort of that of a technical conversation. It's like, what is it, you kind of have to do due diligence before you start signing contracts like this, because it's a lot, at least we do. And so I don't want to get too down on those pieces, because I do think that something like that is a condition. They set the terms up into a point. I know they have a standardized agreement and they have leverage within that standardized agreement, but there are things that we need a condition like that on it. I think we're in a position to do so.
We, as dispatchers, we believe that the board supports us, and that if they don't at least offer us a good package, that we will get some seniority, we will get some longevity, because I know we have to move from our union into their union, and there's negotiations. I've done negotiations for
They have
years,
to
and
do
I
impact
understand
bargaining
that.
on the group.
Yep.
And so because they're in MassCop, right?
Yes, sir.
And so they'll have to impact bargaining, so I can't.
Correct.
The senior, we can only do so much under a state collective bargaining law to guarantee whatever your seniority is. That's gonna really be between the employer and the union, but like the invitation to apply stuff, that's really a non-starter for me.
And we would have a seat on the board.
Yeah.
As discussion of those contracts moves
Right.
forward, and we have negotiated together, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I tend to just think that there's so much need in this area anyways,
Yeah.
that'll probably all sorts.
We just want to make sure that there will be good benefits, and that the pay, hopefully it would be better, but is very comparable, because we do have families and other commitments to do
Well,
this.
that's a very good question, because because I didn't review the CBA. I read that CBA when it started, but I haven't read it in a decade, so I don't know what it's like compared to us. Do we know what the
I believe
pay
the
is?
hourly's a little higher than ours right now.
That was the impression.
Yeah, I obviously would
Let's
confirm that,
confirm
but yeah,
that.
That would be great if we
yeah.
could get a copy of
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
but I
before-
can actually call and get
I
that
think you can
myself.
just go on the state web.
Yeah.
This should be on the DLR probably has it on their website. Most likely you can probably get
I think the
that
bigger question was not so much was it a more lucrative package, but if we go forward, then, what the merging of those.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the bigger
I
question.
assume what it is that they're trying to push people into the group, and that they have to negotiate seniority live with
That's the big
that
thing, is
group.
seniority.
And that's a whole process, and so they want it all defined as when they're posting and who's coming in first, and because it can be a
Right.
headache for.
I
understand
I'm
it's-
sure.
Instead of you and I being on an opposite side of a table,
Yeah.
I become actually your advocate.
On my side.
Yeah, we're on the same side.
To an extent,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
kind of not true either.
Well,
No,
in the initial.
and we only have a seat at the table,
Yeah.
so
Right.
that's the other thing our chair is trying to tell. I mean, I know he said it's a non-starter for me as well in terms of employment, but impact bargaining, it's not gonna be Sturbridge.
Everybody
we're
has
gonna
one,
have,
right.
we're giving up some autonomy there
Yes.
in terms of the bargaining, so just so you're
So
aware of that.
yeah, so we can condition our engagement with offers. Once that you transition, we have 1/11 of the say, or whatever it is gonna be.
We understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's getting in the door, and I think with Chief Grasso, he's thinking that the sooner we get on board, the hierarchy,
Yeah.
that we'll be able to come in before their new hires, kind of thing.
Well, it depends too, because they're not doing this until, what's the live date for this, Robin?
2027,
He
wasn't
said
it?
early
2027.
2027.
So you're still gonna be employed by Sturbridge through that date, and whenever the Auburn facility's live. So I don't know, so that's a little more, because if it was just like an empty building, it's like in a month, you're just like walking down the street, that's a lot easier. There's a lot of lead time up until then, so I don't think it's, so I want to be clear, like, I think this all makes sense, I'm not against it, but the hesitancy for me is that, yeah, I can tell them they gotta hire you for us to sign off, but like, once we do that, we are of
What's
limited
after
control.
that is
Yeah, it's
whatever's
really,
after that.
which again, it makes sense, probably, and MassCop's a good union. You know, it's not like I'm like, I don't think it's anybody's nefarious or anything, but it is. But I don't want you to feel like, because once we do it, you're not working for us anymore.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah.
It's,
It really isn't in our control.
want to be able to walk in.
Yeah, well, and we're
Well.
not trying to go slow roll it for you either. We hear your concerns, and you know, it's nice to have.
I have just a few more things. I just wanted to, personally, Rutland Regional has a high turnover, and so I have questions about that too. Not everyone is on board for regional, at dispatch, and for whatever reason that they have. I did some quick numbers, and Rutland Regional did, I think, was about 77,000. I wish I wrote it down. I can't find it. About 77,000 calls for service just in 2024.
Can you say that again?
77.
Rutland, or Central Mass, whatever they're called. I know them as Rutland.
It's okay.
They did about 77,000 total for the towns, the 5 towns that they do now. I couldn't get a number from Spencer, but I can tell you that the numbers for Sturbridge, Southbridge, Auburn, and Charlton was 128 or 158,000 calls for service
Sure.
between these 4 towns. I couldn't get numbers for for Spencer, but it's going to be double. This center is going to take on double the amount of calls for service. All right. With that, however, I am for regionalizing personally, because of the amount of calls that I have done in my lifetime where I've had to do it by myself. It's overwhelming. It is absolutely overwhelming. Sturbridge alone did 32,000 calls last year. We're at 23,600 as of 6:30 when I came in today. So this is an increase. That doesn't even include the phone calls that we take for, when are the fireworks? When's Halloween? What time does the Harvest Fest
I
start?
tell him not to do it, but he does it. You know.
I need a detail. I need a detail. Why is there traffic on Route 20, on 84, on the bike?
Go ask Facebook.
It's Memorial Day weekend, I don't know. Why are there officers in my neighborhood?
Yeah.
I can't even, we should have counted today, probably 100 phone calls that get no call for service. That means they're not logged. We just answer questions and move along. People walk into the station. We watch child exchanges that happen in the lobby. We provide public records requests, pick up copies for reports. We make copies for the officers. We provide keys and fobs so they can, for different service companies, so they can complete maintenance in the building, as well as town employees, for everybody, sewer, water, town hall, highway, so they can get upstairs for their records. We have to stop, provide that fob. People picking up property, people picking up LTCs, getting suggestions. Where do you want to go eat tonight? You would be surprised. People from out of town, especially with the flea market in town, they'll come in. So what's a great place where the firefighters go eat? I don't know. I don't know. And it's true, though. Or people making deliveries, UPS, FedEx, any of them. Steve, our regular mail guy. We have to stop and talk to these people, accept these packages. People who come in and don't understand what a restraining order is, we'll explain it to them. Or what a no trespass order is. We stop, we explain it to them. None of this gets logged. This is just stuff that we do. Again, we file reports, we pull reports, we make copies, get the LTC orders, trespass orders, fire run sheets. We gotta make sure that's done. Take in LTC applications, take in detail slips, enter house checks, enter no trespass orders, social media posts that dispatchers do. Only 1 or 2 do it. I don't. I'm not a social media person. Prisoner checks every 15 to 30 minutes. If you're by yourself, you better be walking smartly because you have to go through a locked door. And don't forget your fob because now you've locked yourself in booking. And walk smartly back because you don't want to miss that 911 call or a phone call or a radio if you have an officer on a motor vehicle stop. And complete voluntary statements. We monitor PD radio, fire radio, highway, buses, water department, Worcester County band, if any of our surrounding towns need fire response from an ambulance to a ladder truck, they come over Worcester County. We can only access it by leaning over and pushing on the console and speaking into only one mic. That's how we have to use the radio. We also, that's the Worcester County. We have a scanner that we don't have access to. This is how we know what other towns are doing around us. If there's a big fight going on in Southbridge or a major accident in Charlton, this is where we're going to hear it, and we know to prepare for it, that they're going to call us. And then we have the LPS radio that sits just behind me. That's why I pointed it behind me. And we monitor that too, because if Southbridge needs a police officer or Brimfield needs a police officer, they're going to call me on LPS 7. If state police are on the pike for an accident, this is where I'm going to hear it. And I listened for that. So now I have to listen to all these radios. And then the phone rings. And then people are coming in, talking to me, and then the officers are coming in, asking for something.
No wonder you have voices in your head.
No wonder I have voices in my head.
Voices just listening to
I know.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I have Barbara as my partner. There's two of us to handle all these calls. If I was by myself, I'd probably be under the table crying a lot more than I do. So, but I don't.
I do want to add to that,
Sure.
too, is for the child exchanges, a lot of them are mandated by court to go to a local police department
Sure, sure.
because of the volatile that happened there.
Yeah, whatever the,
So, the chief can't really have the lobby closed because we have that service for these people.
sure. So the,
We do take a number, hundreds, I would say up to between 50 to 100 daily of people walking in, looking for something, trying to find something. Or people are still walking in, they drive up and I can see them, they drive right up really quick and my kid is choking. They're in the car and I'll get the fire department right there.
Yeah.
Or, they're having chest pains. So we're not going to avoid those 911 calls coming in on the business line. That's still going to happen. People walking in, still going to happen. So you can't go dark.
No,
Absolutely.
that's not proposed.
no,
Cannot go dark there.
we appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys coming in and talking to us about it. We know that being in dispatch is a really emotional and a draining job, and then when you get, and in some ways it's because, like you said, you're in the room, you don't have that relief of just walking down the street in the same way that some of the other folks in the building do. So we really appreciate you. So with that, unless there's anything else, I think I just want to kind of get to the larger conversation here.
Can I ask him a couple of
Sure,
questions?
but let's
Very
keep it
quickly.
moving, okay?
You said that the calls will be answered by Southbridge and you answer their calls when the volume's too much. Is that the town that you have the most reciprocity with respect to answering each other's calls?
911 does a triangulation, so they do an alternate dispatch. So if something ever happens to our 911 system, we can actually go to Southbridge and have somebody sit there, put in our code, and be able to answer the calls. But like the accident call the other day, you just have so many coming in at once that they have to go somewhere. So they can't just be a blank.
And then just one question of clarification. You said not all dispatchers are in favor of regionalization. Are you saying in general or within our town?
Both.
Okay, okay, but other dispatchers are not all in favor of regionalization. I don't want you to speak for them,
Not.
I'm just trying to clarify what
No.
you said.
No.
They're not?
No.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
we like Sturbridge. We like the small town. A couple of the guys have actually come in to dispatch and said, boy, we're sure gonna miss you guys. Yeah, but we understand the big picture. If we cannot sustain these calls for service, this call volume with one dispatcher on, we need to have two on, and we would need to hire more people in order to have that coverage. It's just too much. And the thing about regionalizing, I am for it, is you have dedicated people. I was explaining it to my husband. I'll go to work that day and I'm a call taker. He said, why would you just want to be a call taker? All I do is answer the call. I put the call into the computer. The police dispatcher will dispatch it out. Oh, you need an ambulance? The fire call will go out. That's all I have to do. I don't have to do a prisoner check. I don't have to help anybody coming in. I don't have to dispatch out anybody. I've got one job, and that's my job. If I'm a police dispatcher that day, then it's probably a little bit more complex, but I'm a police dispatcher that day. I don't have to juggle, have all these balls up in the air. So regionalizing will benefit. I think it'll help the sanity. I don't know the word I'm trying to find. It's just the mental health of dispatchers, of trying to juggle all of this and handle all of this. Let's spread it out a little bit. And by regionalizing, this is how it's going to be solved, I believe.
Well, that's the hope. And so with that, and kind of bringing you up to speed a little, Chase, because I know you are not, and thanks, ladies, we really appreciate you guys coming in. The basic thrust of the economics of the presentation is that the state 911 is, they take all the telecommunication, they take a certain percentage off the telecommunications dollars, and that gets dedicated to this structure. And that as a consequence of doing that, they're going to have money to build a large facility in Auburn. I forget where they said in Auburn, but it was significant money, like $13 million. And basically the Rutland district, which is, really running 4 or 5 small towns presently or historically, is going to be operating as a central mass piece of it. And with the upside being that all those the numbers in that spreadsheet we saw will lessen the large capital impacts and solve a lot of our technological issues. But once we're into regional dispatch, we're in regional dispatch. Like the state is not going to, we can transition to another one, but the state's not letting us out. They're when they pull people in, you're in. What's up?
Yoked.
Yeah, so it's that, and that's and we're only one of the towns, and again, they're good towns, they're good communities. We know the people involved, but there is always that hesitancy because just for the very reasons we described, we assume there's going to be adequate resources, but if you just have 8 times the call volume and no staffing ratios that are commensurate to that, then it's not much of a better situation. It can end up being as trying. So that's the in a nutshell piece of it, I think. So with that, any thoughts on what to do with this at this juncture?
Well, what I would really like to see is everything together. I mean, we've got emails, we've got reports, this and that. It's all scattered. It's not one concise report.
You're not, there's not because of the way the information's come in, it's
Right.
a little drips and drabsy.
Right, because even today, we got some today, and, we don't want to rush.
Oh, no, I'm not inclined to, I hear what you're saying. Mary Dowling, I think you had something to say?
So I have a few comments as well. The PowerPoint that you presented, did we get the feasibility study itself? To me, that was a PowerPoint showing the pros of regionalization, but, I think the town wanted to see the feasibility study. I know you had said we made a decision to go in with an existing one. You're calling it Rutland, now they call it the Central. And I guess where I'm coming from is I see the pros of regionalizing, but I'm not convinced that that's the right group. I don't feel confident enough to make this huge decision that that's the right group to engage with. It was, hold on. So it's just, you just said we decided to go this route. I'm trying to get to, is Rutland's group the right one for us? The other thing that I have going on in my head is, because we're one of the larger towns in that group, and I'm wondering, did we explore the possibility of us being the town that the regionalization occurs in? Like, we rehabilitate our own building to be able to be the central point of regionalizing. These are all thoughts that I'm going.
I can answer.
Because if we join another group, we're still gonna have to, down the road, take our safety complex and invest some money in that.
So one question,
So
I think the only other regional dispatch, just as a point of your, I think this is kind of what you're getting at. I believe the Rutland and then I think it's Franklin are the nearest
There's,
ones.
the latest, Holbrook has a wonderful one, but nearby Foxborough would be the next.
Yeah, so I think that,
Yeah, Webster Dudley.
What
But
is
that's a
Charlton?
two-town, that's
What
just a
about
two-town.
Charlton and Southbridge?
There, Southbridge, Charlton are all part of this same discussion, Charlton. So what
You're
happened- let me-
approaching
let
all
me-
of them, but
yeah,
they
let me
have not
answer-
signed
let
on the
me
dotted
answer-
line.
No, not yet, so let me, Spencer has.
Spencer, I know
So let me
that.
answer your question, because the original feasibility study was not about joining Central Mass. The original feasibility study was about the 5 of us becoming one, and where would it be hosted? And I don't believe we were the prime location for geographic reasons. I think Charlton ended up actually being the
Right.
prime.
Yeah, we had that.
So we wouldn't have been the host community
Hmm.
anyway. I will tell you that we're not even close in our public safety building, and what we would have to do, like a Brookfield Road rehab at millions and millions and millions of dollars. The state isn't going to guarantee investing in what they don't believe is the best.
well, but I think that's
Okay.
that's a secondary point, because I
So-
think we all get I think we all get the resource allocation point about it. And I think what Mary's saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mary, but I think what she's saying is like, okay, so they're getting in with this group, they're smaller towns, and they haven't, it's just a different area, and a little bit, and that there are other viable opportunities that exist. And so we've done some of that work with Charlton, it sounds like, but is there any other viable alternative?
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I feel like we were just given the pitch, all the pros, and this is the way we want to go. Where I want to see the whole picture, like that feasibility study. Feasibility studies give you the pros and cons of a lot of different things to weigh, and we basically got a PowerPoint on why Rutland's the best. Let's go with that. You wanted us to like,
Well, it didn't
even without
address that,
we didn't even
That's
have the
the-
agreement in our
and
hands.
so there's a couple things going on here, and I think some of it's just about rollout, and some of it's the time of year and all that type of thing. But the first thing is kind of I think there's the points about the study and the way the documentation has been presented, and that is, if we get everything together, then you can kind of see what we're really dealing with, and we probably should have our lawyers look at it. Then the next part about it is, I think it's really the more nuts and bolts of it is what you're getting at, right, Mary? It's like okay, so we're going to regionalize. What are the 5 closest regionalization operations, and do they want us? I suspect they probably don't, because we're kind of far away, and I think that I would imagine that the state 911, if they're putting the building in Auburn, is going to have a pretty strong opinion about Sturbridge being in that Auburn location, because it really is the same corridor in a way that other places aren't. But that is an assumption, and I think that that's sort of what you're getting at.
Right,
Is that fair?
and to get a look at that, the feasibility study itself.
You can have it, it's just not related to Central, it doesn't even discuss
I know, but
Central
what the
Mass.
town,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
wants the
but
data.
but yeah, absolutely,
what
you
the
could have a
town
study, sure.
paid for, I believe, was,
No, grant, that was
oh,
grant
well, it
funded.
was through
Yeah.
a grant, but it was supposed to be a feasibility study, so we could like analyze it and discuss it. Because I do have concerns, especially when she says, Rutland has had a high turnover, and they're going to double the calls for service. And then, as our chair said, well, are we doubling the amount of employees to balance it out, or are we simply going to be in another stressful situation? So
I do think for clarification, I do want to be clear, though, Rutland in the past has been a Rutland-hosted facility versus now the new model. Remember, they have shifted models as well. So I do, just for clarity for the public, want to be clear that a lot of that turnover happened under, and this is to your point, which town controls it becomes problematic
I was
in that
involved in
setup.
all of the original collective bargaining for every regional dispatch center in the state when they first did them. And I can tell you it was a mess. And it was a mess because you were taking 5 separate unions, putting them together, and then creating a command staff and figuring that out. And then you were not doing a neutral, it's like why they're changing to a neutral host model opposed to a Rutland-led models, because Rutland, it's not exactly a enormous city, and so it's just and that those at that scale, it's not you're just kind of trading problems. So the logic of this, and the only reason this would make sense, is because you're bringing it all up, because you're getting enough bodies in, and the state is putting enough economic incentive in it to make sense. But I don't think But to be clear, it was a mess. It was an absolute full tilt cluster when all of these occurred, and a lot of it, some of it had nothing to do with even the people involved. Some of it was the technology involved. You know, like the technology in 2008 versus what they have now is an entirely different kettle of fish. So, okay, so
you know, so that's where I'm coming from, and I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a good topic to discuss in greater detail at like when we have our retreat, which I assume will be in the next few months. I don't know, I'm just not equipped tonight to make this kind of decision.
And I think that's
will our
perfectly
response time improve? Because we've never had, I think you women, let me just say, I think a dispatch job is probably one of the most important jobs in the town, bar none. Because when your loved one is having a problem and you call 911, you want somebody there. So kudos to both of you and our whole team. But will our response time improve? Because
What's happened is basically the call is just going to be diverted. So Barbara talked about how those excessive 911 calls that we got, they rolled over to Southbridge. It's like this. It's just going to go to Auburn. And It's going to be like this.
so it's not going to get worse, but it's not going to improve either. Because I mean, we haven't had any complaints whatsoever.
You should not see, it will be a smooth transition. Because there is a state law that we have to respond within the 60 seconds. And I believe the assistant director for Central Mass she even said we meet that requirement.
Oh, no, I get it. I'm asking, is it going to be?
That requirement.
Is
so
it
we're
an
not
improvement?
gonna, guys, we're not gonna do call and response here. Because we gotta be on the mics is what my concern is, okay. Just hold on. So, okay, we've heard from this side of the bench. What are you two thinking?
So, do you mind if I jump in? So I'll jump in because I was not at the last meeting, and these are just my thoughts. So, I'm not an expert in public safety by any means. And when I sit here and I see both of our chiefs support it, I see senior dispatches come and support it. I know about the capital improvements we need to our Sturbridge station that, you know, are excess of millions and millions of dollars. To me, it does seem like the path forward. Now, bringing up these arguments of what towns we decide to go with, that's something that, you know, I'm kind of getting hit with right now that, you know, I want us to all be on the same page with. But as far as going to the regionalized, it just seems like that's going to be the path forward.
That's where things are going.
What timing? I mean, like Robin, it seems like you're hesitant with the delay when Mary talked about the retreat. Like, talk to me about the timeline and what the concerns are.
So, yeah, I have some grave concerns. So we have, as we all know, areas of the town that are not covered. I realize they have not been covered for a long time. That doesn't make it okay to just say, well, it's been a long time, let's keep going, not covered. We just saw something, I'm not trying to drama and never would use or politicize what happened a couple weeks ago. But that is a very real world we live in. The longer we go, I told you, I was not lying to you, and I said there's only one thing in this job that keeps me up at night, and that is it. So I am passionate about this. Secondly, we started working on the regional and radio upgrades for town, doing them alone in this town. We started with that consultant that had been hired before I came on back with the original 21 meeting. We have since had the bus company radio people out, Gooseman. We've had them out to review what we would need to try to patch it together. You heard Barbara talk about the fact that we have not upgraded our own dispatch stations in 20 years. These should be done every 6 to 8 years.
Sure.
We will have to plan to go to town meeting, whether it's on this November or next April, if we are not going to regionalize. And we are going to have to ask the public for about $7 million, which is going to mean an override vote. We cannot absorb it in the budget unless we want to cut public safety, frankly, or DPW. I am passionate about this. As I said last time, I was not a fan of regionalization for exactly the things that Jamie brought up. It was a cluster. I spoke to my fire chief today from Stoughton because I led the beginning of the regionalization there. When I left, they had just moved over. I got an email back from him today. We love it. We talked about growing pains and the nerves of it. He texted me back. We are absolutely thrilled we went through with it. They have voice. It's a similar model. I'm very comfortable with the model. I just feel like the longer we wait, we've got to procure this. It's not easy. I actually spent money with a consultant to help when we lost our last procurement guy who refused to comply with Massachusetts procurement law. I brought someone in who can do it. We paid, I think, another $15,000 off of that that town meeting warrant we had to look at this and do an interracial feasibility study. We looked at that. We're ready to roll that direction if we have to, but the reality is, it's hugely expensive, and even once you do it, those boards still should be replaced every 6 to 8 years, as well as the radios that these guys are carrying that I think are horribly dangerous, that we don't have that communication. So yes, I'm not trying to pressure you in a night, but, and I certainly have sent the agreement to KP to review. I haven't heard back. Obviously, I would never expect you to sign something that KP didn't look at. As far as getting information in dribs and drabs, again, I don't want to be disrespectful. And no offense, I got questions today, and that's fine. I wanted those. I sent you an email this morning, any last minute questions. You get information in dribs and drabs when you ask for me for information in dribs and drabs, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
I realize that, Robin.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I would assume that you could gather all this in one report.
I could put one
and
folder
give it
together.
to us.
Yes.
I mean, information today, and we got information a month ago and everything, but I personally would like it concisely in a report. This and this, all your points.
Yeah, listen, I think it's all, this is live in 27, right? Or is that what we just said?
Yes.
I'm not getting any smarter. So, I understand the points of hesitation from our Marys, but I don't think we've heard from Mary Lou, and I think it's important to make sure we're getting all of our voices on this one.
Being in a position as a dispatcher and a former firefighter, and reading through all the documentation that we received, I mean, each packet, I don't see why, I guess I'm not sure what you're asking for, Mary, because each one is separate.
Well, yes, but, I mean, we've got reports on, yes, state will give us money to do our towers and stuff. Well, in the agreement, it's the town's responsibility. The state's not going to give us any money. Each participating communities shall provide and maintain all necessary telephone circuits, radio circuits, frequencies, two-way radios, antennas, and any related unnecessary equipment. So that's still
We
going to
don't pay,
be.
we don't have a budget for that. That's funded through them.
But it says no.
It doesn't see, this is, to Mary's point, I agree with her. I don't have a problem with the premise. I don't have a problem with the theory. I just know that I think it's just, it needs to be like, okay, what's the statute? What are the regulations? What, you know what I mean? It's not your fault, Robin. And we're just difficult people. Me and Mary, not the other three. But there is a, Mary raises an interesting question about the other locations. I suspect there aren't any, and I don't know how much they'll have it, but again, it's me guessing. But it's a, what is what's the collective bargaining agreement going to say? How many people are in the unit right now? What are they going to get paid? It's like basic things. And so it's not, it isn't, I mean, because we're talking about a life and death functionality we're going to spend well into the 8 figures on over the course of the life of this agreement. Like, it is a ton of money, and it is a very high stakes. So it's not, I don't think, and I don't want to speak for you, Mary, but like, I don't think it's that she's saying that everything doesn't necessarily make sense or something's particularly illogical. It's just, it seems like there should be more information on it based upon the scope of it and what the other, like even the collective bargaining, stuff like that. And maybe it's stuff we have to do a better job asking for, but I sometimes I think I get cautious when I feel like I'm getting pushed. And it's not, and maybe I'm just opposite.
I think we
I'm
have
just defiant.
December, I think December is for grant.
So the Central Mass is going to need to have an answer by December to know who's involved with the grant application.
Well, I don't think months makes sense. It's not what I'm proposing. I think what makes sense here is, all right, where's the building? What's happening with the building?
September 16th, I go on a walkthrough.
Yeah, so we need, like, what is, and like, what, I don't really, wouldn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, and you guys should all figure that out. It's like, all right, what's going on with the building? What are the capital improvements there? How's that getting paid for? Is it committed? Is there a pen to paper on it? And I'm sure that there is, but, you know, it's just all those type of things is what I think you're asking, you know?
But I mean, things change because we mentioned the building in Auburn, and you sent out an email, or somebody did, that might not happen.
No.
So now
We
that-
were asked where they're at, and I sent an email back that said that they have a signed letter of intent to purchase.
Right,
And
but-
somebody asked me if there was a backup, if that fell through. I can't remember. You asked that. And the backup is Charlton. But the commitment is to Auburn with a letter of intent.
Well, yeah, they put it in Charlton, I'm not doing it.
I just want to, may I just say something in general?
Of course, yeah.
I think it's great when everybody reaches, you know, Robin, you ask for questions, and because of open meeting law, you know, just direct them to me. But I like it, we don't all benefit from the questions that are asked when it's done like that, you know. Email
get the
me,
answers
hold
done,
on,
yes.
email me with your questions. And then people's questions are satisfied, but then the rest of us might sit in on the meeting and be like, well, who asked that? If we can sometimes deliberate more in the meeting, I think I would benefit from knowing what Mary's questions were, or what.
You all got all questions. I said this last week, that any question that came to me, I would respond to all with the responses. There were no questions, I assure you, not one question
Right,
was
but
asked
also-
that you all did not
I
get
get
responded
it, but
to.
also, I mean, for people who are viewing this, right, they would benefit from the give and take of hearing the answers and the questions. That's one of the reasons, you know, we have an open meeting, so that the public who's watching, we don't come in with our minds made up because all our questions were answered, because then they don't get any input. They like, how did Mary already know how she was going to vote? They don't know all that back and forth that's taking place behind the scenes. And I'd rather like do it in a meeting, because I've noticed that some of the towns that looked into regionalizing, I don't know if they have done it or not, took several months and had public hearings where they got input from the public, because as our chair said, there's no going back. So I think we see the benefit. I'm just want to make sure it's the right regional group that we join, and, you know, because we can't change our mind once it happens.
You can change regional.
Well, we can change the
Yes, you
region,
can
but
change regionals.
we fundamentally change the model. It is a major change from everything I've
And
researched.
I'm not even
others-
sure they'll let us change regionals, because to be honest, that's not always how the state operates.
They said there would have to be a substantive reason.
Yeah, and they have to be, and
Yeah,
they
there
have
would
to
have
have
to
a
be.
reason.
Well, he said a
qualifying
safety
that.
reason, so it's
Yeah.
not
Qualifying
as
event.
easy,
Yeah.
it's not that easily done. And I don't think it's unreasonable that we took a few meetings, like, as I said, when I researched it, I don't know, is it Southborough? Different towns spent like a few months with their select board deliberating and getting feedback and that type of thing. So, you know, and in terms of the coverage, you know, that's a conversation we should have even regardless of whether or not we were going to regionalize.
We are. That's the point. I have to
I know, but,
to
yes,
get
but that
I
should have
know,
come
but-
up anyway.
Yes.
But when Mary's, but Robin, when Mary's saying that you have broad language like that in a contract, it might be within a regulatory framework where that is not concerned. It might mean just the receipt radios, it might mean standardized equipment, right? But we just don't know that based upon the contract. It's those type of details that it just.
And certainly, as I said, I'm waiting on KP to
Yeah,
do the review on it. Obviously, you wouldn't sign anything that the lawyers haven't reviewed on this anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, well, and if it's, we're not ready to see the it's just because the nature of this conversation, and I think is, I mean, I'm inclined to do it because I just don't really see what other options are gonna really exist, to be frank, relative to the spend. But really the functionality of the overlapping staff. But by the same token, everybody, if this group's probably not all comfortable with taking a vote right now, it probably means the town wouldn't be super comfortable either. So it's not, and we're not, I don't think we can be like, well, let's see what happens at Thanksgiving. Like, I think it's I think it's like, it's
gotta be
fine.
quick.
It is a rolling debate on it is totally normal. Getting kind of thinking, because, we just kind of started talking about this 2 weeks ago, so why would we, you have to develop your thoughts on it, but by the same token, I can't say that I think either of the Mary's questions sound crazy.
And I do want to emphasize, I know it's been brought to you relatively recently, but I do want to emphasize that it has been 3 years of discussion amongst ourselves. And I understand you wanted more information on what's going on in those 3 years, I do. But I want to assure the public, this is not, okay, we've looked at it for a month and now we want to jump into this. This has been
No,
vetted
and I wasn't trying to
very
say that.
thoroughly.
And this has been a point of conversation for years in the town, and it is a live conversation within the whole Commonwealth. And, and having the gentleman from, I almost said 411, 911, out, like, that was a lot of detail that we're just not gonna get in a different way. So I think we can just, well, I'll talk with Robin offline, and we'll try to button up all the things that I can think of, because I'm a very difficult, thorough person.
Because I need to know what it is you want. I can't do it unless I know what you need.
And that's very fair. So, does that make sense, Mary?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
What did you call me?
Mary Lou?
Oh, okay. How do you propose we can find out if Rutland's a good fit for us? How do you?
I don't know. With all due respect, I view that as like our TA like, this is the first I heard that there's a high turnover in Rutland. One of our dispatchers told us. I don't view that as my job to see. I view it as, look, these are our options, and, because all we were told is we want to go with Rutland. We think it's better to join an existing one than try to form one on our own.
Well,
but we weren't given any more explanation than that.
Well, that's,
I'd just like to speak to the turnover. This is not a Rutland turnover rate. This is a nationwide. You just heard my dispatcher say she's hearing voices. This is the job itself.
Yeah.
That people come on this job and they're overwhelmed, they're overburdened. So it's not a Rutland.
Okay.
It's not a New Braintree. It's not a Sturbridge. It's a high turnover career. So I just want to try to clear that up.
and that's what, in regionalization, theoretically, by having more staffing hours and more and more coverage, allows you to model it out better, so you take pressure off of people, because then because if you got 6 people, they go further than 3 people doing,
And I believe his name was Mr. Moriarty. He said they use is it International Firefighter Association calculation or formula to determine, based on call volume, how many dispatchers should be seated at the tables or the consoles. So
No, and it makes sense. So I think that there's, I think we have to be more specific with what we need with Robin in terms of documentation, and I can happily work on that with her offline. If I think that to kind of like answer your question, Mary Lou, it's like, what else do you need? Well, some of it's just this. It's like just the conversation of it. You need to just like kind of hash it out, think about it. It's because it is a little, and you don't want to be you want to be right in the middle. You don't want to rush. You don't want to go too slow.
I know, and I know you feel like we're being pushed into it, but like Robin said, I remember when these negotiations started a long time ago, and the biggest problem was because you wanted the 5 towns, and Sturbridge wanted to host it.
Sure.
And because that wasn't feasible at the time, because of the topography of the town, it was put to bed. After reading the documentation, going through everything that was provided, I am going to be on board with this.
Cool. Yeah, and that's fair.
It's fine. Can I ask the chief a question too?
Sure.
So I guess, I get it. I get the whole regionalization and the stress, and that there's going to be more employees. I totally understand that. At some point in time, though, at what point would there be too many towns joining the Central Mass Regional Planning? Because the more towns that join, to me, the less input, if there's 5 towns, then, we've got 20% input. And if there's 10 towns, I do think we're giving up one thing, which I think is inevitable, is, right now we decide if we want 2 dispatchers all the time, our town can decide that. I guess I go the other way. I worry about us not getting what we need because there's so many towns involved, and maybe some of the poorer towns said, you know what, we don't want to hire another. That's why I think Rutland, the Central Mass team right now, she indicated that they wanted another dispatcher. And I said, well, did they get it? Because that's a good indication of what that executive committee is all about. And she said, I guess we found out that they did. They got it. So that's good. But we just give up our independent hiring and, because we've got 2
Well,
great
I
ones.
can tell you now, even with our independent hiring, I need 4 dispatchers, 4 more full-time dispatchers to run two dispatchers 24/7, 365. So that would bring us to 11 dispatchers to man that center and allow for time off, to allow for backfilling 11 full-time employees, which is an increase of 4 from our current staffing right now, if that was even be considered. And
If you could even find them.
nobody's banging on the door to be, we got a great candidate tonight, as you can see, to come in, 0 experience, and this happens a lot with us. They come in and after 6 months to a year, they're like, whoa, I thought this was for me, but it's a high-stress job. It really, really is. I walked in today just to probably say hi to Tanya, and I was like, whoa, probably bad time. I'm gonna go.
Was the smoke coming out of the
But so here it's, I think it's fine to continue it, but I really don't want to keep continuing this. I think it has to get ready for prime time. I think that the problem, your concerns are all fair, Mary, but we're not going to have it within the capital spend of renovations and the other viable alternatives. There's also a real possibility that by not managing it and just getting ahead of it, we're going to be scrambling to deal with it all and just not on the, it's a sweet spot sort of disposition, which I think they said to Mary Lou. So I think the state's going to be taking all of this away from everybody anyways. I don't think there's going to be a lot of municipal oversight over dispatch in the very near future. And I think much of it will be automated, and I think it's going to be, everything is getting less local in this type of information system work. Just is. And it makes sense. It's got problems, and we have to deal with them, but
I don't think if state 911's, to answer your question earlier, state 911's involved, how many towns is too many? I think there would be a cap for the size of the building, the number of consoles, where they would have to say, okay, we're at full capacity. So
Okay, that's what I was hoping, because there was nothing in the.
they're not going to bring it, because what they would be doing is creating their own public safety hazard by
I
not
understand,
having
but when I
enough
asked that
people.
question a couple of weeks ago, I think it was something like, well, there's no limit, or that somebody answered similar to that, which kind of, to me, was kind of shocking that there wouldn't be a cap for safety reasons and capacity and that type of thing.
And the problem with it is that I know it's wrong, is that some of the presentation points made, they were just vague. I'll be frank with you guys, not you guys, but are you, Robin? But there are things that, I know there are staffing ratios that are recommended. I know the state has certain staffing ratios on it. I just know these things. So there's not it's all, these type of structures are all based upon what call volume can you handle relative to staffing. That is how it works. So you have, realistically, the whole thing's going to end up just being probably all one state thing or something, or some of the same, kind of like PARAC. and they'll all, and you will dispatch based upon location of the call, and you will staff based upon the volumes of the expected call, and you will force based upon spikes in volumes or events. It's just
And
how
that
it
doesn't,
goes.
those kind of stats don't appear in the district agreement in terms of.
Well, that's the
how
sort
many-
of, we're missing the metric stuff of it, and that's sort of the sum of the information, and I'm
The
sure it
district agreement,
exists.
that was helpful to me.
There's
The
gonna be-
district agreement doesn't talk about, how much staffing you need for how many calls.
Because it's the civilian agreement. The law enforcement aspect of this, Robin is the civilian side of this. All of this is the administrative scope. On the staffing side of it, it is all public safety determinations pursuant to public safety policies in the central public safety operator. So when you get to the safety issue, it's less about how do we vote on whatever the cost items are, and it's more of how do they select a central administrator to make those determinations, because that central administrator, if they're bad, could screw up the whole thing. So that's, does that make sense?
Yeah, and to your question about the dispatch response time, this is not gonna change dispatch response.
I didn't know if it was
There-
gonna
yeah.
improve it. I know it's not gonna get
There's probably
worse.
gonna be about the same it is now, except if
Okay.
there's multiple calls, we'll probably improve it like they were, because they'll be able to be answering and weeding out the calls that they already have the 911 on, like they were saying earlier, maybe there's a heart attack in between that 10 calls for the crash, the 6th one's a heart attack. And now the dispatcher can stay on the line with that heart attack while another dispatcher is screening out the additional calls coming in that for that same crash. But as soon as they hit that microphone, they're gonna call our cruisers directly, and our cruisers are gonna be able to respond, our fire engines are gonna be able to respond, so there's no delay in our response time. It's gonna be like they're here, except they're there.
And there is a major upside there, because we're probably being a little, at least I feel like I'm being a little negative in some ways, and I don't feel negatively towards this project. Think about what happened in Watertown when they were doing the manhunt. Most of the injuries that occurred in Watertown were friendly fire from police departments not knowing who the hell was where. And those issues are mitigated by better dispatch. And it was a huge problem. Nobody knew who the hell was who, and I think one of the guys died because of it.
Yeah.
And so and again, I'm not saying that to be a dramatic point, like, you know, because everything's life and death here, so you can't go too far in other directions, but it does make sense. But the problem with it is if it's not done properly, and it really can fuck everything up. Excuse my language.
Oh.
It's my second time. I'm losing my mind these things. But it really is. But it's an important point, and I don't mean, and it's not, and it's not, and again, I'm just tired. It's the baby. But
Don't talk like that from my
yeah,
little
but it is a real point though, because it is a major, if we don't manage this, it is a huge problem. People, like, it can be a nightmare when you're dealing with this type of structure and they're not on top of it.
And I agree, and I have to say, I don't make this recommendation lightly because, and again, not to be dramatic, it is life and death. It's life and death of our first responders, it's life and death of the public. I don't bring this to you, and again, I know you all don't think this way, but from a public perception, I don't bring this to you in the 2 weeks that you've seen it and say, let's just change our dispatch and it's gonna be a great thing.
Nobody's saying that,
I just
and you
wanted
don't
to
even
clear,
need to note it. We appreciate everybody's work on it.
We all take this so seriously.
Everybody knows that. We don't even have to say it anymore. The point on this is what information do we need to make sure that the represented body of the community is comfortable with it, because that is a fair stand-in for what the community is comfortable with for. Because we really have to have a unanimous vote on something like this. Just is what it is.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we're tabling that one.
Jamie, can I
Yeah.
just?
Oh, sorry.
I just want to clarify two things
Chief.
for Mary.
Just don't swear, okay?
The first thing is, as part of this project, we investigated several other regional dispatch centers. The
Okay.
initial plan was to form a 5-group dispatch center. Us, Charlton, Oxford, Southbridge, Spencer was the initial plan. After the feasibility, which we got a grant to hire an outside consultant to do, their scope was to determine whether or not those 5 towns should or should not regionalize. That was the entire scope of their project. Not where, not how, just should we regionalize? And the result was, yes, we should. Then we started looking at other regional centers before we looked at Rutland. So I just wanted to make it
Yeah,
clear,
so-
because you asked.
Yes, no, thank you, that's
We
very
did look at
helpful.
several other,
Where is this feasibility study that
can
looked
forward
at
it to
the,
you. Yeah, we can-
you know what I mean?
Mission Critical, do you have it?
Yeah, I have it, I think I have a
Yes, I
copy, yeah.
mean, right, so that's something that,
Yeah.
to make a well-educated decision, we should have, you know, been
And-
given the feasibility
Yeah,
study.
so-
You know,
But
those
again,
are the
I
kind
just
of
wanted to
things-
clarify, because you asked the
Okay,
question
no,
about
that's very helpful.
why.
I apologize.
And the other thing.
Did they look at whether those 5 towns were the right towns for us in terms of, I don't know, cost, efficiency?
I'll let
Yeah, we'll just-
Robin
Safety,
share
feasibility.
the
Yeah, we'd
report
have
with
to
you.
read
It's a pretty
it. It's a
detailed.
very
report.
So
detailed
Mark, if we can get the following, can we get a copy of all of the materials that have been gathered pursuant to these conversations? I'm not asking for scheduling emails, but anything, all substantive materials that have been pulled together in this investigation. Can we get a memo from KP Law on what our rights are on it, and what the review of the if there's anything that's no good in the contract, and if there is anything that should be negotiated, which would probably be tough at this point because other people have already signed it, and what our rights to exit it are if as necessary. And then I think we also need any information on the building and just any budgetary information that we haven't gotten, just really, and again, it's overdo it.
So Chief, thank you, I would appreciate that, and also, I don't want it by, I'd like a hard copy. You know, because sometimes we get emailed things, my printer ink, because I use it for other reasons too, is always low.
Put your printer on the record.
You know, and I just.
You just want a hard copy.
The reason I asked is when I started to do my own research, for example, I just pulled up, in 2021, Acton and Concord did a feasibility study of establishing a regional emergency command, and it's a very lengthy 44-page document, and it's online, so residents could look at it and all on that. And when I saw that, I said, where's our feasibility study? We need to see that.
Yeah, I'm happy to give it to you. I just,
No,
that's
yeah,
fine.
and just overdo it, guys. Give us whatever you got.
The other thing I just wanted to point out about the response times. I think where you'll see a benefit is currently when we have to call mutual aid, when the dispatchers have to call mutual aid. The first 911 call comes in, they dispatch, for my people, they tone us out. If we're not available, then they have to either pick up the radio or pick up a phone to call mutual aid. With the regional center, those neighboring communities are being dispatched by the same individual. So that time gets shortened. So there will be, in certain circumstances, some time benefit to that part of the equation. Again, because you asked, I think
Okay,
it's
yeah, no, because I think
to share
that's
that
what
information.
residents have a certain comfort level in knowing that their dispatcher is in their town, in their public safety building. I understand that it's not going to change, but there is a level of comfort. They think they know their roads better when it's a local dispatcher. They can get it out quicker. And now they're trusting this regional office, which could have many, many towns, and people see bureaucracy there, and they see perhaps a lag in the response time. So that's why I'm asking these kind of questions, because I think they're reasonable questions and concerns that the public would have in terms of making this change.
They're more than valid. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, so I think that's that for now, unless somebody has a motion. But I think we're just going to continue it to next week.
Not gonna.
Jace, Mary Lou?
I think we have a good plan. I mean, I support it. I'm for it. I think it's gonna be the benefit of the town. I think it'll be a benefit of all our public safety employees and our chiefs. So I am for it. You're the attorney up here.
Yeah,
Your
I'm
questions,
There's
I
very,
think,
very.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's important we're all feel comfortable with it. I really do.
I'm still
Yeah.
leery,
Yeah, and that's understandable.
mostly to do with the cost and everything. I mean, even to withdraw, you know, you
You
still.
pay your annual, you have to pay the remainder of that annual obligation to
Yeah.
withdraw.
I mean, honestly, I think that's my hesitancy is less about the cost. It's more that I think effectively once we are in, we're in.
Yeah.
There's it's not like
Realistically,
we're gonna
yes.
build another dispatch
And, you know, and this problem with towers, I mean, it's our responsibility,
Yeah. Okay, so.
unless you
Unless
get
there's
direct
something else.
word from God.
All right, well, on that, unless there's a motion, which you guys, Mary Lou, Chase, if you guys feel like you want to make one, you can, but,
Oh, no, we're not gonna, you're saying you want
Yeah.
a majority, we're not gonna get that tonight.
well, I'm not, I'm only one person, if it doesn't, I think it's.
So let me ask this, because I am on the fence of making a motion right now, but I want to hear from our town administrator, what is the negative of waiting 2 weeks?
I think we can wait 2 weeks. I know Charlton's voting next week or the week after. I don't think there's a negative in waiting 2 weeks. I think the other option, if you wanted, is make a motion pending the review of obviously the agreement. I mean, I could certainly see that you wouldn't want to, not asking you to sign anything tonight. So those would be the options.
If there's no major impact on it.
I don't think 2
Yeah.
weeks is going to be a.
Due diligence is on something like
Yeah.
this is logical.
When is Southbridge voting on it, chiefs, if either of you know?
Chief Grasso, do you know?
Charlton is voting next Tuesday night, and Auburn is voting on the 29th of September. I don't know about Southbridge.
Were they approached?
Southbridge is part of the group, yes.
Okay.
Just also, all chiefs on all towns, fire and police side, are all supportive of the regional. There's no chiefs that I'm aware of that do not want to be involved with this.
Correct. And I believe the TM in Southbridge is on board. I'm not sure about the legislative council. I don't know what that, where they stand or how that works.
They might not know either. Okay, so the,
One more item.
we have one more item unless, all right, so moving along. Thank you, everybody, too. I know it's,
Yeah,
if I figure out where to put my agenda.
it's just here. It's a salt equipment.
Oh, yeah. Unless anybody has a strong opinion, I'm going to make a motion to sign the agreement with Leeds Group Incorporated of Shrewsbury, Mass. for delivery of treated road salt at the rate of $79.47 per ton from August 5th, 2025 until June 30th, 2026.
I mean, I had cheaper than last year.
I was just gonna ask,
Cheaper.
compared to last year.
Save a penny.
So that means that Mary's seconding.
Second.
All right, all those in favor. All right. And then we have minutes. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just see your agenda. I don't know where I went. So then, old business, Mary Lou?
Nothing?
Chase?
None, thank you.
Mary Dowling?
No. Cable.
Yep. So so Al Menard, our cable commission person, has been in touch. We are just on an extended agreement while we work through a contract for the cable agreement. The biggest thing that we're pushing for is Spectrum wants us to get into a long-term, like a 20-year or 10, 15-year, and we are pushing for a 5-year because of the rapid change in technology. That is, they do not do those typically, and we're just sort of saying, fine, we're not doing anything till we can get a shorter-term agreement. So
Okay, and I
I'll keep
see
you updated as it goes.
somebody resigned and we.
Yeah, I have to put a new point, yeah, we didn't add a new appointment to cable yet. I've got to put that one out, that just came through.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that was it.
No other old business for me. New business, Mary Blanchard.
Nope.
Mary Dowling?
No.
Mary Chase?
No, thank you.
Mary Lou?
Question about the parking lot on Route 20, next to the 1738 house. There's a sign in the parking lot that says vehicles parked for over 24 hours will be towed. What about overnight parking?
So we did not restrict it because police tend to be a little hesitant on that. If somebody's been drinking, we don't want to have them feel they have to drive their car home that night if they would rather leave it and take a ride. That's why we sort of have this 24-hour, if it's going too long, we can sort of move it, but we don't want to put just overnight and restrict it for fear of sort of forcing someone to drive home. The police were a little hesitant on calling it overnight.
Because it seems like they're getting cars there overnight from the 1738 house. They're using that as a parking lot.
Yeah, if it looks like it's tenants or it looks like it's long-term and someone calls it in, then we'll go take care of it. But there was just concern about calling it overnight for fear of forcing people to get in a car.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the parking there are restaurant and bar, drinking parking.
Maybe we can give them a little card that they can put in their windshield that says, I've been
I'm at the
drinking, I'm
restaurant.
not driving.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody's designated tonight.
All right. We'll take that under advisement.
I'll follow up and have them try to keep a better eye on which cars are there, how often.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
We knew that'd be a problem.
That would be business. Okay, correspondence. I don't think we had any, right?
Nope.
Okay, and then we had meeting minutes from 8/18/25 and 8/25/25. So starting with 8/18, any edits?
What did I do with mine?
And Chase, you are not here.
I was not here.
All right, hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes as written of August 18th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, and then 8:25:25 minutes. Any edits? All right, do we have a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve the minutes of August 25th, 2025 as written.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, noting 4-1 on both of those, with the one being an abstention. All right, citizens forum, we have no one.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Well,